Hello everybody, and a warm welcome back once again to Lutys Chainsaw Mods. Today I've got just a bit of a quick video I thought I'd do, because I haven't done one for a little while. I'm not really, I haven't been very well for quite a bit, and I'm sort of working myself back to health again. Still working on the chainsaws, but you know, I'm not able really to do a lot of logging at all. And besides that, at the moment, I know a lot of people that watch me are from the United States, and probably there's a lot of areas over there that can sort of get wood and what have you, but here in the UK it's, you know, it's getting a bit rare really at the moment. You can't really ever since the fuel crisis and everything, you struggle to get wood. So I got this. This is still ms171. Okay. Actually, it's my neighbour's, and he had this really cheap. I think he paid about 30 quid for it. The guy that owned it had bought it from new, and well, to cut a long story short, he never looked after it. He just used to use it, chuck it in the shed. And I know this because obviously I've stripped this and cured it, got it working and everything. But the bloke next door had it. He said, "Will you know, see if you can do something with this?" I said, "Yeah, no worries." So I set about it, and it turned out they had no spark to start with, and it was absolutely filthy. This thing was, I reckon, I don't know, I could have probably got half a bucket of fine sawdust out of this, and inside the cooling van chamber. Anyway, it had no spark, so I put a coil on. I tested it, put a new coil on it, got it to spark. As it happens, it now runs fine, but the cause of it was all the sawdust around the fan area, and it was really clogged all the way around the actual flywheel and everything. It was just, there was no airflow pretty much. I'm just surprised that it hadn't seized up, because, you know, I could see that happening, to be honest with you. It was so bad. So anyway, that's obviously what had toasted the coil, because it had got too hot, and it knackered the coil, stopped it sparking. And I suppose in a way it saved the engine really. But you know, that's the thing. You know, you get some people that will buy these things and they're not really interested. They just want to cut a bit of wood now and again. They want it to go when they want it to go, and then they'll just chuck it in the shed. And that's what really was happening with this, and it did look terrible. You know, ultimately, I've never seen one of these before to work on, ms171, and to be honest with you, I had a good look at it, and really it's the same sort of size motor as an 017, ms017. It essentially is the same sort. It's a more up-to-date modern version, so it's got a slanted cylinder for cooling, and they use the same bars, 12 or 14 inch on these. This has got a 14 on it. I'm fairly sure it has. Let's have a quick look, but I think it has. Yeah, so it's 13 and a half. I mean, so what you're supposed to do ultimately, when you measure these, because I was asked this not long ago, and all right, you know, how do you know what size bar to buy or whatever. So ultimately you measure between here and the end. Now if it's 14, this one's 13.5 inches, okay, which that equates to a 14-inch bar, so it's near enough to whatever is produced for the unit. But yeah, ultimately it's common sense in a way, but it's the cutting area of the bar. Without the dogs, you wouldn't sort of include the dogs. So it's the actual cutting area of the bar. That's what you measure on them. Okay. Now this has got a micro peco chain, they call it. Again, I've had nothing to do with these. I don't own a micro peco chain. A lot of people love them. They think they're fantastic because there's no waste of them when you're cutting, and you know, they're pretty good apparently. They're very all it means is they're just tiny teeth. Okay, and when you think this is a 14-inch bar, so it's not very big bar, but look at the teeth, look how narrow they are. Okay, so, and that's a micro peco chain, for those of you who don't know. Because I didn't, like I said, really, you know, I did a bit of research on it and what have you. I asked a friend of mine, he's, well, two of my mates actually, that one's a tree surgeon, one's a landscaper. They love these micro peco chains, and they say they're great, you know, because obviously they're lightweight and they make the saw lighter. So yeah, they love them. And the one did say to, I don't know whether or not you can actually sharpen them on a grinder. But now I've got my friend's grindstone here. It's an Oregon one. It's an Oregon one. So I've got that here. I've got this here. It's the one with the hydraulic clamp for the that holds the chains. And he said, well, I don't know whether or not you can sharpen these micro peco chains on there or not. Well, I'll tell you what now, you can. Okay, I've done this one and it's done a really good job of it. So yeah, you can do it. It's just the same pretty much as sharpening the 3/8, 5/16, all the 5/16 chain. You know, it's yeah, it sharpened it. I've had to use the thinnest disc, which is this 3.5 mil thickness disc. So yeah, to sharpen that up. But yeah, it's a nice little saw, this, isn't it? You know, 30 quid for that. Yes, I've done it up. Not denying that, but you know, I've done it up. Absolutely, I have. I've done some work on it, got it going, put a new coil in it, etc. And the guide bar was toast, really. It was all grooved out, both sides. So I've had to reface the guide bar on both all the way around. And then the micro peco chain I've sharpened on the grinder, on the chain grinder. And yeah, it seems great. He's a lucky man getting that for 30 quid. So yeah, yeah, bit of a freebie one this is. You know, he's done me a few favours, and so I've done him one back. You know, done his saw up for him, got it running nicely. Looks brand new like now, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know what these 171s are like, really. Like I said, I mean, they're to me they're the same as an 017 but a more modern version. I've got two 017s, ms171 stills. I quite like them. They're good for logging. They're good because I don't have a one-handed saw, top handle saw. I use the 017s. If I go up a tree to take some branches off or whatever, I'll use my 017s. I can just about cut with them with one-handed if I have to. Other than that, I just cut off a ladder with them. Really, they're just lighter. That's all. And they're very good saw. And I think that this 171 is just an upgraded version, a more modern version. You know, it's got a different look to it. It's got slopier tops and everything on it. But like I say, the cylinder looks slightly different, even though it's about the same size. I think they're 32cc. This I think the 017s is a 32cc. This is 31cc, but they're the same motor really. Yeah, I like them. Anyway, this was only going to be a quick video, quick Saturday afternoon video. So over here I have got one of my Chinese racing saws. Now another friend of mine came to me. I was talking to him the other day. He came round and he said you know, he got a bit of oak around his place. Do I want to go up and run my racing saw through it and see how it goes, you know? I said, oh yeah, that'd be all right. So he got some large pieces that he got on some soft ground, and because obviously I can't move stuff from one, I can't move heavy stuff. So I thought, well, I'll just make a few rings and what have you out of it, cut some big chunks off it, and see how this goes, this racing saw. And yeah, it did really well actually. I filled it up. I filled a tank full of it up, and what I used, another mate of mine got me this. He bought me this motor mix, sthil motor mix, because he said to me a bit ago, he said, do you ever use that motor mix? I said no. I said, but I know a lot of people rave about it. Some people like it and some people don't, because apparently it's a good lubricant. Apparently, doesn't smoke at all, but apparently it clogs up your exhaust eventually over time. Can clog up your exhaust with carbon, which it's not a problem at the end of the day, is it? You know, you can soon scrape it out and what have you. But and I'm not knocking it, don't get me wrong, I'm really not knocking this stuff. I'm just telling you what a lot of other people say, because that's the first, this is the first, probably the last actually, that I'll ever own, because I won't spend out, I think he paid about 20 odd quid for this, for a gallon of fuel. And when you think about it, I just use Oregon 2-stroke oil and normal unleaded fuel, which I can get a gallon for, I don't know, 8 quid sort of thing, less than half the price of that. But I'm not knocking it whatsoever. I mean, it's I've used a bit of this in some of my other saws, and I just thought I'd sort of comment on it a little bit, honestly comment on it, I mean, and I think that realistically, if you can afford to run this through your saw, it does have an odour. I wouldn't say it's particularly unpleasant, and it's certainly not very strong odour, nowhere near as strong as petrol. Okay, and like my mate said, he says he doesn't like the smell of fuel in his van and what have you, see, and the smoke and that gives him headaches sometimes. So he went on to this, and he's always uses this. And so anyway, he bought me this. He said, try it, see how you get on with it. So I did. Now, one thing I found, I put some in, I've got a note in this 034, okay, put some in this, and I found I'd had it running, and it ran out of fuel at the time, that 034. So I thought to myself, well, I'll try a bit of that motor mix in it. And that was the first thing I put it in. But I did notice that as soon as I put it in and started it, it was idling at a lower speed. So I don't know exactly why. I mean, usually if they're idling lower, it's because they're slightly rich. I don't know why, but it did. That's the only thing I noticed, because I was doing a little bit of cutting with it, and to me it didn't seem any different, but significantly there was zero smoke come out of it. It looked like you were running it on just normal petrol, you know, no smoke whatsoever. It's a bit odd to watch it. Now this fast saw I've got, this Chinese Husqvarna Zenoa clone, as they call them. I used some in this when I went round to my mates, and I filled the tank up with it, and I cut, I don't know, be looking, I don't know, the amount of cuts, if you like, that you would normally expect to empty the tank, or pretty much empty the tank, okay. And then I stopped. Anyway, I looked inside the tank, and there was still a bit in there. You know, there was probably about, I don't know, half an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch of fuel in the bottom of the tank. You know, so it still had some in, considering. And I thought, well, that seems pretty good. But this, because it's heavily modified, this saw, it smokes at low RPMs. So anything from tick over up to, I don't know, 9,000 RPM or something, it smokes. And when it hits around 9,000, it seems to clear pretty much. That's on normal fuel. Yeah, it seems to clear, but other than that, you'll see, and it's because it's got a very big carb on it. It's got a carb off a 72cc Husqvarna inside this. This is a 58cc saw, but it's heavily modified. You know, open ports and high compression and everything. This is the one that pushes 18,250 RPMs with no load on it, and it cuts at just over 15,000 RPM. This does, and when it's in that high range on normal fuel, it's clear. Anything below that, it smokes. It looks like it's smoking in a bad way, if you like it's really running rich or something. But and that's obviously after I've tuned it and what have you. But anyway, I put the motor mix went in it, and when I was cutting at my mate's place, and I found that there was zero smoke coming out of it. You know, there was no smoke, which I thought, well, that's good. Now, I obviously cutting through this oak, it's a bit different. I've only ever cut softwood with it, so I would say it was obviously a little bit slower cutting through the oak, but it was managing it really well. It was cutting through it really well. Kept up the revs. It was cutting through the oak at 15,000 RPM, like it does with most wood. I think the power to me seemed about the same, but now there could have been something gone wrong with this, because that was the most work I'd done with this, and I haven't had the top off yet to even have a look at it. But I noticed every time I put it down, it was idling fast. Well, compared to the 034, that one was idling slow, but this was idling very fast. It could just simply be that it is more of an efficient fuel and it's burning a lot more efficiently, and obviously that was what was making it idle too fast. Till I actually have a look inside this and check everything and tune the carburettor, I don't know. So what I want to do is put some more of this motor mix into this, warm it up and retune it and see what happens, which I might do, and I'll see how I get on. So I hope you think this video is interesting to you. You know, I just like to pass on the things that I learn, because we you know, none of us know everything. This is my hobby. This is chainsaws, just either repairing them, specifically modification. I love doing that. I've got a Parker. That was the last new saw I bought. I've had it quite a while. Hasn't had much use. It was a backup saw, because I've got 4 sthil saws, which I use them quite a bit. But since I've built 2 of these now, these racing saws, this is the fastest one. So obviously I like using this, seeing what it feels like. It's nice to use. It's very snappy, very quick acceleration. Picks up really well. It's lightweight. That's why I like using these Chinese ones. But for a long while I had previously been using the sthils, till I developed my first, what I call race saw, and then all the ideas off that one I improved and built into this one. That's why this one is as good as it is. The other one's a great saw, don't get me wrong. The other one will keep up with anything in standard form that's around 70cc, you know, easy. And this one's a little bit better than that. So yeah, it's, you know, like I say, this is my hobby. I just love doing it. And specifically modification work, I really like that. I find it really interesting. You're sort of coming up with ideas, getting it going better and better and better. And yeah. But obviously on the side of it, see, I've got a load of chains up there, look, on that door over there. I've because my friend lent me that Oregon chain grinder up there, and I did start, when I first started with chainsaws and what have you, I was sharpening them, and as you do, it takes ages, you know, doing it by hand, especially if you've got 2 or 3 to do. So I didn't want to throw a lot of the chains, even the ones that have got the odd tooth missing. I'll probably throw them away, actually, the ones with the odd tooth missing. But either way, these chains, you know, like I say, you think to yourself sometimes, because I don't buy deer chains, you know, I don't buy deer chains, you know, I'm the sort of person, if I can do it on the cheap, I will. Well, there's 4 chains there, and these are for a 20-inch bar, and they've come out of my stack. I've got a stack of chains I've got a workshop store next door, and I've got a stack of chains, probably, I don't know, probably 30, maybe at least 30 chains hanging up in there that I've never thrown away. I've kept them dry, and they I would say probably there might be 4 maybe that I'll end up throwing away, maybe 5 perhaps, but potentially there's another 25 chains in there that retain all the teeth. And eventually, with my mate's Oregon chain grinder, I'll go through them, because I bought some discs for him, because he said to me, he said, "Oh, keep it at your place," he said, you know, and if I want to sharpen the chain or whatever, I'll just come down and sharpen it, and you know, I don't know, he just wanted me to be able to use it, you know, as much as I wanted, really. So it's based here at the moment. For how long, I don't know, but it's based here, and I've, you know, I'm quite enjoying using it, really. It's, you know, something, like I said, I've always done it by hand. I came up with this. I've got an old bar. It's a Timber Pro bar. Look, there's the part of the logo there. This is a 20-inch one, and basically I've got a nut and bolt through here, this shaft with a nut on it. Now it's only got a chrome socket on the end there, but that chrome socket, it tends to, if you set this at the right tension, you can pull the chain across and it clonks over one tooth and holds itself good enough so that you can sharpen your teeth, and that's what I made it for. Just for sharpening. Well, I used that for years, you know, up until he brought this down to me, and this is flipping ace, you know. It's really good. I can't afford one, to be quite honest with you. If I ever buy one, if he ever comes and takes this away, I'll buy one of the cheapo ones. You can get some. I've got my eye on one that's pretty similar, but they don't have this. This has got a hydraulic lock on it. As you pull that down, it clamps the chain, stop it moving. So this is a quality thing. This is, you know, and I'm not going to spend the kind of money he spent on this. You know, I mean, I've seen one for about 35 quid, and no, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as this, but it's going to be better than hand filing. That's how I see it. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into what I've been doing today and what have you. And you know, so I'm going to take this 171 back to me neighbour now. Give it him back. He can have it now. He'll be pleased with this. He'll be able to use it. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed it. From Lutys Chainsaw Mods, once again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all my subscribers that have, you know, been subscribing, especially all the recent ones. I really appreciate it. It makes me feel that it's worthwhile doing all this. I've got, oh yeah, I was saying about my parka. So I've got a parka, which is, it's basically, they call them parka. It is one of these Zenoa clones, okay? That's what they are. Whatever anyone tells you, that's what they are. I know, because I've got 2 Zenoa clone saws. One's a Timber Pro. One's Timber Pro, and one, if you can see up there, there's a guide bar that says Charles Jackals. Well, that was the other Zenoa clone that I bought. I got that one really cheap off somebody. He melted one of the seals in it and something, because he left the chain brake on. And he melted all the bloody seals and stuff, and I got really cheap. I only paid like a tenner for it, and it was barely running. He bought it for doing one tree and he ruined it. So I had to buy a new side cover, which was 7 quid. the plastic cover. I don't know if you know Zeno clones, but they have a plastic cover over the seal, which is under the clutch, and it covers the oil pump, a bit like it's in the similar sort of design to a Husqvarna, but there's a lot of plastic bits. Anyway, those plastic bits were about £5, and the cover was about £7. Pair of seals, £4. That's all I spent on it. Which is this. The Charles Jackal one is this saw now. It's this. This is the saw, which is it's exactly the same as the Timber Pro one that I've got, but this is the fast one because it's the last one that I built. It's a bloody good saw. I'm trying to get so you can see it a bit better. Hopefully that's all right. It's a bloody good saw, this. You know, it's yeah, it was a Charles Jackal's saw. But it's bloody hell, it's fast, it's powerful. I'm pretty sure it's close to 6 horsepower, that one. But they're built the same anyway. It's the same as a Parker. They've got an aluminium crankcase, oil oil tank, and everything's all aluminium. The whole chassis is aluminium. It's not like the real nasty cheapo ones that have what I call a clamshell engine, where you take the motor out of the plastic chassis. These are built, you know, they're built sound and solid, like a lot of the expensive saws, even though they're really cheap. So yeah, the Parker one is exactly the same as this, but the difference with the Parker one's got rounded top. Now I bought a top. I bought a top off eBay to match this because I want it to look like one of these. But what I want to do, I'm going to do a build on that Parker one day. It's a good motor. That one's been running for a bit, but it hasn't had a lot of use really, the Parker. So I'm going to do a race build on that one, and I'm gonna try and improve it to this. This one's really powerful. Really, this is the one that does 18,250, and the Parker one, I'm gonna go through that, and I'm gonna see if I can make it a little bit better, even work on the piston even more, work on my transfers and reports and the bore timing and everything a little bit more. Might even, one thing I haven't done on these is advance the ignition timing. I might even try that, I don't know. So I've got all that planned. That'll be fun. I'll hopefully do a fun video on that one, showing you what I'm doing to it, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. I'll try and I've got a new stand on here now, so this is my new phone stand, so I can move it around and set it here, there and everywhere pretty quickly. It's quite good. And yeah, so that'll be my next sort of thing. Do the Parker saw, tune it up, get it really going really well. There's nothing wrong with that saw. It's a reliable saw, but it's only the standard 3.2 horsepower saw, 58cc. I know I can get it going a lot better than that. This one's a flipping ripper. This one's probably, like I say, it's about 6 horse. So I'll get at least that out of it, out the Parker. And because they are so reliable, I've developed a big intake that accepts the Husqvarna 372 22mm carburettor, which this one's got on it. The standard carburettor's only 18mm across. Well, the ones on these are the 372 Husqvarna, which are 22mm across. There's a big difference, bigger jets as well. and you know, you can really get them to sing. Like, you know, you can, you've got to do some design on the exhaust. You've got to open them up, obviously, to get your flow, but you want to retain the sonic note in the exhaust, so you can echo the fuel back in at high revs to keep the power level, keep the power band up, because you want a high power band really if you're going to be cutting fast. Like I say, this one seems to be around 15,500 RPM. That's where it'll really grunt, which is pretty fast really when you think these were only ever rated at 11,000. So yeah, I'll go through all that with you, show you the I've got loads of different cylinders here, standard ones, modified ones, and all sorts, and I'll show you. I'll show you what's what, the differences between the pistons and the cylinders and everything, and hopefully we'll all learn. You know, hopefully I can push the boundaries a little bit more on it, because to be honest with you, I thought I would blow this one up, because the piston is a bit of a triumph on that one really. It's so light. I didn't know I'd get away with it, because I really liked it. I don't weigh my pistons. Why? At the end of the day, if I know I've taken loads off, I've taken loads off. Why I'd want to weigh it? I suppose you could if you wanted to, but I know I had a significant amount of material off that piston, and the windows are wide open. The sides of the skirt, I found that really is pretty well the key to getting speed and power more, to basically narrow your piston at the sides so you retain a skirt at the front and the back to stop tilt. I think that's one of the keys. You know, I can't say it's the only thing, because if I only did that and nothing else, you know, you've got to have a big intake to service a large carburetor, and you need the large carburetor to service those ports, because if the ports are a lot bigger, you want to be able to whack more air and fuel through the whole thing, and you don't want your exhaust too open, otherwise you're going to spew all your fuel air mix out. You want a little bit of echo, a little bit of resistance, just to hold it back a little bit. See, I'm going on now. I can't help it. I'm getting a bit I'm quite excited for doing this Barker. So yeah, I'll leave it there for now, and I don't know whether it'll be my next video or not. This one will be going on today, this video, and I know this one's pretty much just sort of chatting and what have you, but you know, hopefully you've learned a little bit about the ones that obviously I've never seen them like me. I've never seen them, the micro peco chain and the ms171 chainsaw. Anyway, I'll go now, and I'll take this chainsaw back to my neighbour. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.